Good evening, and welcome to The Journey, show number 6, guest number 5. I am coming to you live from a hotel room just outside of Aurora, Ontario. As you can see, the flowers behind me, that is a typical hotel room. Not a top of the line, but not a low end. I got a bed and a fridge and a hotel. I'm okay. Anyways, we are good. My co-host, the one and only Brad Barker, will join us in a second. He is in Edmonton as usual. Our producer, the Fanshawe kid, Jordan LaRoche, is in Richmond Hill. He just came back from a whirlwind event in Montreal. He was there for Game 3. He was live at Game 3, and Game 4 he was watching. Pretty sure he's there watching. But the NHL is over. We're not going to talk about that because this is a journey where we talk about ability through disability. And today we have an incredible guest. She's not here yet. She will come up just momentarily. Why don't I bring on my co-host from Edmonton, Brad Barco.
Hi, Rosey. How you doing, man? You mentioned hockey is over, but currently in the background, as you know, I'm a huge sports fan, and the first night of the MLB draft is tonight. So obviously, while we wait for Bean, I want to wish all my fellow baseball athletes. My brother was a baseball star at one point. My cousin was drafted. Some bloodlines there. So I want to wish everybody best of luck, and it's going to be a great show, as you mentioned. We have a great guest lined up today, Rosie. I've admired and respected this woman for years, and what she's done, and you've read on her story. You're going to meet her here momentarily, but her name is Bean Gill, and she's got a very unique story and a very powerful story. And to me, she's a hero in our community, in our world, and really changing the minds and changing the disability community. You talk about ability through disability. She is almost top of the food chain when it comes to that. I'm trying to follow in those footsteps. I'm trying to change the world with her. We have a great relationship. We met actually through a motivational speaking club in Edmonton, Rosie, a couple of years ago. I gravitated to her right away. She gravitated to me with my story and connected well. So, Jordan, why don't we bring her up? She's here. And let's introduce Bean Gill. Bean, again, there's no words really to describe you and what you've done other than amazing, outstanding, a queen in regards and respect in our community and really to everybody. So thank you for being here and thank you for giving us the time to share your story and pick your brain.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. And you called me top of the food chain. It's Shark Fest right now, so I really like that. Thank you.
Perfect. Bean, I love the fact Brad and myself put the show together a while ago. This is our 6th show. You're our 5th guest. We really want the world to see ability through disability. Everybody on our show is disabled by society standard. I'm missing my leg. You're in a chair. Brad's in a chair. But we want the rest of the world to see ability through what we do every day. That's why when Brad told me your story and I read about it, what a perfect guest. So Brad, why don't you take it away and let's get going on episode number 5.
Yeah, Bean, I think I know your story. Paul knows a little bit, but for those that don't and for those watching, why don't we start from the very beginning and correct me if I'm wrong. It's all started with a trip to Vegas. And they say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Unfortunately, this didn't. And walk us through kind of that day, that moment, maybe the mindset, and where you are today.
Sure. Yeah. The exciting part of my story definitely starts in 2012 when, in July, I was in Vegas for my friend's stay and it was Friday the 13th of all days, and we were going to go to the pool that day. got up, got dressed, went to the bathroom, brushed my teeth, washed my face, walked over to the curtain, opened the curtain and saw that it was raining outside. And I was like, that's weird. And then I walked back to the bed. And that was the last time that I walked on my own. I took 4 steps to the bed. I remember what the carpet felt like on the bottom of my feet. I remember getting into the bed with my right leg first and then experiencing extreme excruciating pain in my low back. Pain lasted a few minutes, and then I wasn't able to move my right leg. So as I laid there, tried to move both legs, only my left leg was moving. And then a couple of minutes later, I went prickly from my hip to my toes in kind of like a kind of motion. And I was left paralyzed from the waist down within 10 minutes. So my story is crazy and complex.
Yeah, that is unbelievable. You know, the one thing that I love when I continuously see these stories of just incredible obstacles, and then people taking that obstacle and turning it into an incredible opportunity. I started about 18 years ago, motivational speaking. I'm fortunate to do over 1,100 events. Fluky thing, a knee replacement, got an infection in the operating room, lost my leg. You know, it's the story, but it's not that story. It's what you can do with it. Same as Brad. You know, doctors tell his parents, not going to make it through the night. 28 years later, he's changing the world. When did you realize that you had something in your heart that was going to allow you to get on stage and get people to see ability and to make obstacles like, get away from me, this is an opportunity?
I think it was about 4 years after I was paralyzed that I really found out the reason as to why I was paralyzed. And that was to create my own center. So I'm wearing my shirt right now. It's ReYu Paralysis Recovery Center. I co-founded it with my trainer turned business partner, Nancy Morrow. And we have been operating for 4 years, and it's been absolutely insane. But that's when I kind of knew, like, the reason why I was paralyzed was to open a center here, because there was nothing here. And like, I'm really passionate about health and fitness. And so it just really lined up nicely.
Yeah, and we see there you are in the ReYu gym. I've been there a couple of times. Let's talk about, I guess, future for you. I mean, what's next for you? What do you want to see? Are you now at the point or at the stage where this is my legacy? This is what I want to leave. I want people to remember me because I've changed and impacted so many lives. Do you like what is the end goal for Bean Gill? And I know that could be far down the road. We could be speculating, but what does the future look like for you? And I know you're passionate about. I mean, we're in a group together. We meet twice a week, but I mean you're very passionate about accessibility in the city as well. So kind of what's your vision for people with disabilities and yourself?
Okay, so my goal has always been to change the world, 100% to change the world, to get rid of the stigma, to really always advocate for inclusivity and equality in all aspects, right? Like, I am a woman of color, so like I've had a lot of racial incidences being born and living in Alberta, and I'm just done with it, right? And then having a disability, I'm sick and tired of being in a place where it's not built for me. I don't feel welcome. And like, people with disabilities have been around since there have been people. So like, why are we still having this archaic way of thinking when we're literally just regular people who maybe have a brain injury or a spinal cord injury or an amputation or whatever, but just because something's wrong with us doesn't mean we're less than. And so I really want to get rid of that stigma, and like how you guys are saying, show ability through disability. I say all the time, yes, I have a disability, but no way am I disabled. I'm not.
Yeah.
Right?
I love. Yeah.
Neither are you guys.
Absolutely, and that's what we have to get across. Brad and I, last week we had a buddy of mine, Chris Daw, from out in Victoria, and the same mindset. The club that we belong to, and we all came in different ways. You came in after a number of years. I came in after a number of years. Brad was born into the club, but the club that we belong to, it's the only club in the world where there's no rules. Anybody can come in. You can be 10, you can be 100, and you can be and you can get in. We'll let you in. But when you get in, you can't get out usually. And the problem that I have, and I love what you said, is people just see the chair or they see the artificial leg. They don't understand the story, and then they don't realize that, we go through discrimination. I played a game, sled hockey, for a number of years, and I happen to be Jewish, and a couple of things that were said to me, I go, like, I understand that. Well, I don't understand it ever, but in able-bodied sport, people are idiots. But I never thought in disabled sport they would go to those levels too. But they do at all points of life. So I want to know, Bean, right now, what do you say to the young girl or young boy, doesn't matter, and they're in a wheelchair, very, very recently in a chair, and they see you and they go, oh my God, she is an inspiration. I have to talk to her. What do you say to them to get them to feel the way you feel?
I just think of, like, when I was first paralyzed, what did I want to hear? What kind of empowering statements did I want to hear? I wanted to hear that I'm going to be okay, that I'm still going to be able to date people, that I'm still going to be able to do all the things that I wanted to do before I was paralyzed, right? Like, yes, you still have to grieve all that stuff, the loss of the future that you had for yourself, but you also still need to recognize that you're still alive and you're here for a reason. And so what I would say to, like, my younger self, or to somebody who's newly into this field, is, first of all, take your time. There's no rush. You don't have to figure your whole life out within the next 24 months. You don't. There's time, right? You will find meaningful employment. You will find a boyfriend or a girlfriend or whatever it is that you wanted previously. If you wanted a family, you can have that. Will it look like the exact same as previously? No. Right? Things might change, things might have to be different, but that's how we as humans have survived this long, is by adapting, right? And really showing people that, like, life can be still fun in a wheelchair, right? Like, we used to, before COVID happened, a bunch of us used to go out for dinners at least once a month. And we would show up in a restaurant with 10, 15 wheelchairs, right? And just showing people, like, hey, we're still regular people too. And when you go in a group like that, you don't feel insecure, you don't feel intimidated by going into that kind of atmosphere. So really showing the new generation of people who are in the new club, right, that, like, life's still, you can still do things. Don't let anything hold you back, and especially your own limiting beliefs. Let society and their limiting beliefs go, and just live your life as you can.
I want to follow up to what you said there about having a partner, and it doesn't matter. That was the one thing. Like, I was able-bodied for 39 years. I've been disabled for the last 22, and seeing the Todd Nicholsons, in a wheelchair, get married and have a great life and have a couple of kids, and Brad is married, and you're talking about you having a partner, and I'm going out with somebody now who is just changed my life. Why do you think the able-bodied community is just, when they see somebody who's disabled, they see somebody in a chair and they go, oh my God, you're actually married, or you have a relationship? I didn't think that was possible. Well, why in 2021, Bean, is that still out there?
It's their own stigmas that they have, right? Like, I've just recently, and I just really over the last couple of months, recognized this, because I do a lot of motivational speeches as well. And that's okay. That, like, one of my very first thoughts after being paralyzed was, like, oh my God, who's going to date the girl in the wheelchair? And that was those stereotypes of people with disability, that they don't date. Right? So that's why I thought that. So when I talk to people, they say things like that. So I just, like, somebody says, that they're dating or whatever, a comment action, oh, that's really good for them. And, like, my response is why do you say that? Is it because you aren't that good of a human being that you wouldn't date somebody with a disability? So you're applauding somebody else because they will? Is that your bias? Because people don't really recognize it, right? And honestly, right? And you can't change any of that either. You first recognize it. So awareness is step one. And once you're aware that, oh my God, I do think like this, then you can change it.
Yeah, for sure, Bean. I 100% agree with you, and I think it was you that brought up last week or the week before. I'm losing track of days. Everything's jumbled in between. But you mentioned making the normal people our allies instead of our enemies, our allies. And how do we, in your opinion, because I think it's different for everybody, but in your opinion, how do we make them, I guess, more aware, make them our allies, and when they see us walking down the street, or when they see us, in a movie theater, or walking with our spouses, or out for dinner, or whatever it may be, it's no longer a weird thing. It's no longer a stigma. It's no longer a, oh my God, good for you. Good to see you out at the bar dancing, all this stuff. How do we begin to change that? Because I think I'm at the point, I think we all are at the point where it's the 21st century. This is where we're at. We need to bring awareness. We need to now be in the conversation. We need a seat at the table, so to speak. And how do we begin to do that in your mind?
I think just the way we have been, right? By going out there and showing people, like, it's our responsibility as people with disabilities to go into the able-bodied world and show them, like, hey, we're normal people too. We still do normal things. We date, we go to dinners, we go to movies, we go to clubs, we do all these things. But people just have that stigma because people with disabilities don't go do these things. And when they do, it's usually the one-off, or it's one of us, Brad, right? But until there's more of us and like representing ourselves in the able-bodied world, people aren't going to think that way, right? Because unless we are in their faces being like, hey, we're disabled and we're still like contributing members of society, we're not a big burden, as if that's like, because that's how we were projected from the government however many years ago, that we are a burden, right? So we have to go out there and show people.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Robert Wine, we just really started this show, Bean, and Robert Wine is an incredible human being. He was a part of the Canada 5, a terrible bike accident a number of years ago. And he watches all of our shows, and we really want the general public, the disabled public, everybody out there, we want them to get involved within the show, to ask us questions, to ask our guests questions, to really reach out. And again, Robert, thank you for everything. I want to ask you, Bean, a question that was brought up last week from Chris to Brad, because they're both in chairs, and you're in a chair. I'm not. And a lot of times I'll get the kind, I think sometimes having the artificial leg, I kind of get the cool thing. The kids go, oh, it's Robot Man, or it's Terry Fox, or whatever, as opposed to sometimes people see the chair and they automatically think there's a disability much more than the chair. What do you do? How do you react to when you go out for dinner? And Brad, you said this perfectly last week, where the waiter comes over and he says to Brad's wife, is he okay, or what will he have? Not understanding that you are smarter than 90% of the people in the restaurant. How do you handle that? I'm always baffled and wondering, do you handle it properly, like in a nice way, or do you get pissed off sometimes?
Well, we're all human, so we can only handle nice things in a nice way for so long. And then we're in that mood where we're just like, you know what? Shut the hell up. I'm a human being. I'm actually very educated and I can order for myself. And just because my legs work doesn't mean my mouth doesn't. So I can put my own order. And I've said that to people before, but usually I do say it the nice way. I try to take that as a moment to educate people, because it's happened a lot, right? People just automatically talk to the able-bodied person you're with instead of thinking that you're able to communicate. And then at that time, you just, like I said, educate, right? Actually, I'm able to speak. I'm able to communicate my own order. And in the future, it would be greatly appreciated if you treated me with that respect and dignity.
Bean, I got one more, and then Mark, maybe you could, or Paul, sorry, maybe you can close it off. But Bean, you touched on it, but I want to get in depth with it for a minute. Let's talk about ReYu. I mean, you started this 4 years ago, watching it kind of really in light terms exploded onto the scene. It became this monster on its own in a good way, helping and impacting people and really making a massive difference in our community locally in Alberta, and I'm sure in a sense across the world in a sense. But where this is only 4 years with ReYu, do you have kind of visions for where you want it in 10, 15, 20 years? And maybe talk about that. Do you want a worldwide, gym? Like where do you see this?
Sure. So yeah, initially I did say like my goal is to change the world, and for sure that's still our goal. And that's with ReYu, right? We really want to educate the world about neurorecovery and what it really is, because people have such a backwards view on the central nervous system. So if you have a brain injury or spinal cord injury, most people think, well, what you got is what you got, and good luck with the rest of your life. But everything can be retrained. You can regain function, sensation, strength. You just need those right supports. And of course, it takes a long, long time to do it, right? So we do that using activity-based training. And we have a whole podcast on activity-based training and neurorecovery. It's called Rambling with ReYu, if you're more interested in all of the details, because I could talk for like 4 hours about all that stuff, but I know we don't have that time. Yeah, we've only been open for 4 years and we have accomplished a lot, but our plan is to have our freestanding state-of-the-art facility within 6 to 10 years. It'll be the first facility of its kind in Canada, hopefully around the world. We're going to have aqua therapy. We're going to have a few different types of gyms, and one will be an able-bodied gym to make it truly inclusive. We're going to build it from the ground up, so you better believe there's going to be heated concrete. We're going to have, because I ain't messing around with snow removal no more, okay? And we're going to have an outdoor area with paved nature paths. I'm not sure where we're going to build this yet, but we're going to do it. And we're going to change the world, like I said, right? The more people that we can infuse with confidence in themselves, whether that is through exercise or even just being around other people who are in their same situation, you do feel that sense of camaraderie, that you're not alone. And when you feel like you're not alone, you often have more hope to live. And when people have hope, that's when they're going to go try new things. And then when you try new things, that's how you gain confidence. Right? So it's all kind of interlinked. And my biggest goal is to infuse as many people as I can with as much confidence as I can, because I really want everybody to believe in themselves as much as I believe in them.
Yeah, absolutely. Just incredible. I read about you today, and I can't wait until we get the opportunity to travel again, and I can get out to Edmonton and do some things with Brad and get a chance to meet you and sit down, because, this was what it's all about. You had no clue 2 days before what happened to you in Vegas. You were just there, and boom, snap of a finger, and your life went another way. That day that I went into the operating room, I had no clue that I was going to turn left instead of turning right. When Brad's mom went into labor, she had no clue that this is what. But what it is, it's getting the rest of the world to understand that the littlest thing in the world can snap and turn into the biggest thing in a matter of seconds, and then it's up to you to change it the way you want to change it. Now, last week, Chris talked about Rick Hansen and the Man in Motion tour. It seemed like it was 1,000 years ago, because it was great for a number of years, and then we forgot about everything. Terry Fox ran across Canada. He started in Newfoundland. He ended in Thunder Bay because of his cancer, and we've kind of forgot about it. How do we, as strong leaders in the disabled community, how do we get the government to understand? Because I know in Toronto it's brutal. And I know from Brad telling me in Edmonton, it's no walk in the park. And, I like to say, let's change it every step. Well, let's change it every push, every glide, every push. Let's change what we have to do. So what do we do? How do we start it, Bean? Is it the three of us? Do we get together and just, what do we do? How do we get the government to understand we need change?
Great question. That's an awesome question. And Brad and I are a part of a group called Wheels of Change, which is an advocacy group. Exactly doing that, wanting change from the top down, from the government levels down. But what I think is really, really important is that there needs to be representation. So people with disabilities need to be running for these spots. I'm not a politician, but I've been told that I need to run for all these positions, and that's not my jam. But I know there's a lot of people out there who politics is their jam and they have a disability. So maybe they're feeling discouraged, or they feel like they can't win, or they shouldn't even apply because they're not worthy of that. But you are. And like, it's really important that we even just put ourselves out there so that even if you fail, you learn from it and you try again. Having representation in the government at every single level, literally having our own seat at the table, and we're even bring our own seats, right? So like, we just need room, just make room at the table for us, and then we'll actually be speaking. I think it was the UN's slogan that said nothing about us without us, right? And I fully believe that. Nothing about us without us. We have to be involved in these conversations. That's the only way these people are going to get it. As the government, as mainly Caucasian white men, able-bodied, they don't understand the needs of any minority. Sorry to say. They can try, but they're not going to understand. Right? So we need minorities in these roles, and people with disabilities is the biggest minority in the world. So let's get our ducks in a row, and whoever's hiding out there, whoever's watching this, who has a disability, wants to go into politics, start. Take that step one. Don't be scared. Don't be scared of failure. Just do it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, Bean. I do have one more. I lied. And I myself have been told that I should run as recently as yesterday. I was approached, and but that would involve me in closing up my business. I'd have to give up my business to run because it's a conflict of interest, and I'm just not ready to do that. My business is doing well. I don't want to step away, but it is a realm of possibility in the future. It is, I think, in the cards, especially now. And you are right. You look at, there's a woman position, a woman, advocacy of rights, and it's ran and controlled by a man. There's a disability group in the government, and it's all ran by people with no disabilities. And to me, it just doesn't make sense. How do you make decisions without actually somebody being in there? So I'll end with this. I talk about all the time in every speech that I do, and I'm sure you do as well, Bean. But let's talk about mindset. I mean, I have been told that I have one of the most positive mindsets on the planet. I don't let anything kind of get in my way. I live in a dome that there's two things I'm allergic to. That's negativity and that's bullshit, right? Everything else, can go away. I deflect it away. But how you as seeing you now, you have one of the best. Yes, we have bad days. I call them bad moments because they're not bad days. They're bad moments.
Yep.
You can always correct and get better. But how was your mindset when you first entered the disability world? It was probably a shock, overwhelmed with emotions, and you probably thought at a point where your life maybe it was turned upside down and it changed in a matter of days. So what was your mindset like then, and now being in it, what's your mindset like now? I know you want to impact the world and change the world, as do I, but it obviously didn't start there. It grew. So talk about your mindset just for a minute, and we'll close off.
Sure. Yeah. So in the beginning, when I was first paralyzed, my mindset was, in the very beginning, it was, okay, day by day, I'm going to see what appointments I have to do and just go day by day, right? You do that for a few months, and then that deep darkness is always waiting for you. And so that's when it got me, and I was depressed. I got depressed, had to go through all of those lower emotions, had to really face the negative side of myself, and kind of came out the other side when unfortunately I met somebody who was way paralyzed, a lot higher than I was. And it put things in perspective for me, because up until then I had been very much, woe is me, why did this happen to me? Then I met somebody who was a quadriplegic, and that really put things in perspective. And I said, okay, I'm not allowed to feel sorry for myself anymore. I have these are my independence, and every day I'm grateful for them. And so that day I just went from being sad about what I lost to being grateful for what I have. And now, like for the last few years, I've been doing a gratitude practice where every day I say 3 things that I'm grateful for. And just recently, I've been starting to do it on Instagram, and it's had a really good positive. I've had lots of positive feedback from it, where a lot of people enjoy it because it gives them time to think about what they're grateful for, because we celebrate being tired, we celebrate being busy, we celebrate being alcoholics, we celebrate all of these things that are actually terrible for us. They're terrible for our mental and physical health. So how about we actually celebrate the things that need to be celebrated, and then we'll actually be in a proper mindset for personal growth, for personal development. And like personally, I always want to do better and be better. And you can't do that unless you're in that mindset of like, you know, always wanting to grow and wanting to like, you know, like there's always room for improvement, right? So that's my mindset now. And I try to encourage as many people as I can to also adopt the gratitude mindset, because without gratitude, you're taking everything for granted. And when you take things for granted, it's going to get taken away from you real quick, and probably in a very tragic manner.
Absolutely, and I do the same thing. Not on Instagram, but I do the same thing every single day. I'm on that train, and it does me wonders, especially when I have bad days. You get to look back and really realize what's important and what you have around you, and go off that. Now, being with that, I want to thank you so much. Words can't express what you mean to me and my family and everyone around us in our community. And Paul just met you, but I'm sure you made him feel type of way today as well. And thank you so much. I can't wait to do this again. I can't wait to see you in person again. It's been forever. Do dinner or something, and we need to get together and strategize on how to take over the world. I have ideas. Paul has ideas. You have ideas. It's time to put those ideas together, create a 3 or 4 or 5-headed monster, and change the world. So again, thank you so much, and we'll do it again very soon.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for having me. This was great. Paul, it was really nice to meet you. And for sure, I'm down. Let's make a coalition. Let's change this world. Let's do it.
Perfect. Thanks, Bean. Be well. Thank you.
You guys too.
What a story, and what a positive outlook. And that's what we need, Brad. That's what this show was put on. Whether, Robert's the only one that puts questions up. I want this, as time goes on, people to not feel, I'll just listen. Like, just let us know, tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, what we need to do. We're never going to get things to the level we want to unless everybody helps. It can't be the Brad and Paul show by ourselves. We got to get Chris involved. We got to get Bean involved. There's so many incredible people. And you said it perfectly. How is the head of the Women's Coalition a man? How is the head of the Disabled Coalition an able-bodied person? I don't get that. How is the head of the Jewish Coalition African American? I don't get it. Like, you have to understand the situation to know how to get it better. It doesn't make sense to me. What do you say to that?
Yeah, Paul, I'm the same way, man. I'm speechless at times. I shake my head at it. Like I talked about, I looked a little bit deeper yesterday into running. So to run for city council in Edmonton, I'll just put it in perspective. It's $100 for the application, plus 25 signatures for family and friends. For a mayor to become a mayor candidate for your application, it's $500 and 100 signatures from your ward, your family and friends, blah blah blah. So I did look at it. Unfortunately, just timing isn't right with me with my business. I have the best year ever in business. It doesn't make sense for me to forward up because it is a conflict of interest due to a person of power or another person of power. It doesn't make sense, and with the government and everything else. But I would love to do it. It is in the cards. Changes need to be made. We talk about this week in and week out, on air, off air, together, not together. And changes start with people like us and people like Bean and Chris and everybody we've had on the show before. It's time to start a panel, start a coalition, start a rally, start a march, a wheel. I'm open for whatever. We seriously need to have a conversation about I want to get the wheels, no pun intended, in motion on something. I've spoken to city council members over the last couple of weeks in Edmonton and getting some feedback, and changes need to be made. And nobody else is stepping up to the plate, so it's our time to shine.
Absolutely, 100%. And I want, we're gonna keep this format for the balance of July and August. And I'd like, when we get to September, the first Sunday of the month, we have a roundtable. We get 2 or 3 people in the disabled community, plus yourself and myself, and we just take on a couple of subjects that have to be taken on, and we'll do that the first. So we'll start to really work on it now. The first Sunday of the month will be our roundtable to discuss. So if you're out there, Robert Wine, get all your friends. If you want change in the disabled community, let's get a couple of subjects ready for the first Sunday in September, and we'll go at it, and we'll talk about it, and we'll try to make change. That's what it's all about. Hey, we've come to the end of show number 6, guest number 5. Next Sunday is going to be fantastic. I'll know in a couple days, but it looks like you're going to have a buddy of mine who's getting ready to compete in Tokyo in wheelchair rugby in August, which is like flip a coin. It's only in a matter of a month. But let's get to it again. Our hero of the week, and my hero of the week it's a sad one. Todd Kierstedt's a dear friend of mine, incredible mentor. He's able-bodied, but he runs the para golf program, deals with all disabled people, teaching them how to golf, and he's running the program that will compete at the Paralympic level. And one of his athletes, Eddie Two Sticks, a double amputee, incredible father, husband, double amp, rower, power lifter, passed away. Man, I'm so sad when I saw that on Facebook today. I've only had a chance to meet him a couple of times, but you talk about an absolute warrior. My hat is off to you, Eddie. God bless you. You are a hero, and you're upstairs watching down on us. And I can just say the world is in a state of shock right now that you're gone. That's all I can say.
Yeah, Paul. I didn't get a chance to meet him, but hearing your words today, and obviously your message now, rest in peace, Eddie. Our thoughts are with your family, your friends, and of course, we talked about a tight-knit community, and Eddie was, as you talked about, and as you were saying earlier, a big part in the Ontario and Toronto kind of area, and in that community. So our thoughts are with him, and thank you for all he did. And hopefully he's watching over us and proud of what we're about to do and what we're about to embark on. My hero today, it's only fitting. I'll stick today with our guest, Bean Gill. This girl, you heard it today, but this girl literally within 48 hours was paralyzed from the waist down. Then came out of a depression, came out of feeling sorry for herself, and knew she had a story, knew she had a message. There was people out there, looking upon her and watching her and all this stuff. And then she started a gym called ReYu for neuro patients and people with disabilities. And that's exploded in 4 years. I can't wait to see what she does to pave the way and to be on this journey with her. And I'm sure Paul will be on that journey as well. No pun intended with the show. But what a way to end it. So, Bean, hero of the week goes to you. Thank you for all you do. I continue to do. I'm blessed to call you a friend and really family. And Paul, I can't wait for you to meet her and get down to Edmonton and let's. It's now about time to really go on the journey and change the world.
Absolutely. And she has come across, I love you, Brad. Thank you. And this is what it's all about. It's all about finding incredible people that are making a difference. And Bean, you are making a huge difference. So hey, Brad, show number 6, it's over. Next week we'll be back again on the journey. Again, thank you to my partner, Brad Barco. The Journey with Barts and Rosey could not exist without you. Thank you to the Gooch for having us on the network. Thank you to Jordan LaRoche, the Fanshawe Kid, for producing. As always, I'm Paul Rosen. You've been watching The Journey with Barts and Rosey. We'll be back again next week. Take care of yourself and take care of each other. God bless.